and welcome to the Cult Cinema Circle podcast. My name is Jesse, and I'll be your host. So on today's episode, we're going to be covering a beautiful, wonderful movie. We're going to be putting on our best pajamas. We're going to be getting some pizza and beer, all that good stuff, getting some Maui Wowie, all right? And we're going to be covering 1982's The Slumber Party Massacre, okay? Now, I can't do this alone, honestly. I mean, this film is way too fabulous to cover by myself, so I brought a guest with me today. So, you may have heard him on his previous podcast, Cocktail Party Massacre, but also he has been on the Movies That Made Us Gay podcast before, twice. Please welcome Pickens Barringer. Pickens, how are you doing today?
Hello, Jesse. I'm fabulous. Thank you for having me. And as the famous Jim Jones once said, shut up and drink your Kool-Aid.
Exactly. That all y'all hoes going to hell. Just saying. So here's the thing about Slumber Party Massacre. I never saw this movie when I was growing up or anything. It was not appropriate for children. So I definitely saw it very recently. Okay. But I fell in love with it. It was great. This is very much a movie that is the ultimate slasher. You know what I mean? Like the quintessential 80s slasher with all this. And we'll go into that a little bit about this. But yeah, I don't have much of a history, but it's definitely one that I think gays enjoy. And I think just like generally, I think horror fans enjoy. They have a soft spot for it. So here's the thing with Pickens and me. So we met over Instagram, as you do nowadays. We were talking and I did a sleepaway camp episode not too long ago. And you messaged me being like, oh, hey, like, I wish I could have done this episode with you. I love Sleepaway Camp. I was like, well, we'll do another episode. I don't care. I'll have you on my podcast. I don't mind. You brought Slumber Party Massacre to me. So, Pickens, I want you to tell me right here, right now, why Slumber Party Massacre? Why do you like it so much?
Well, why not Slumber Party Massacre? Am I right? I did see it as a youth. I think I was definitely 15 or 16 when I saw it. I actually paid an undisclosed amount of money that was probably a little obscene for the out of print DVD copy that only existed at the time. But so yes, I paid I didn't. My parents paid it for me because it was a Christmas present. But I paid a fairly large sum of money for this out of print full screen DVD of it, and I was just obsessed with it because, as you said, it is the quintessential slasher. It's so much fun. It's so tongue in cheek and complete feminist icon of all movies. It was a woman writer, a woman director, lots of final girls, not just one final girl. We get multitude, and just the lines are so good in it, and the gore is so great, and it's like, it's equal parts ooky spooky, but also like fun, and it's all of it, all of the things.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And we'll get into how it's kind of feminist a little bit. Again, let's keep in mind too, we're both like two cis gay white guys talking about this movie. I'd like to consider myself a feminist. I'd like to consider myself a feminist.
I do too, but mama, we all know we have to acknowledge the gays. We do love our girls, but we can be a little part of the problem too. We need to acknowledge that.
We're going to acknowledge that. We need to. Okay, we're a very conscious podcast here, okay? But let's get into some of the figures of this movie. You know the drill here. We go through a bunch of that crap. So this was directed by, like Pickens was saying, Amy Holden Jones, written by Rita Mae Brown. It was produced by Amy Holden Jones and Roger Corman, which we'll get into. It was released September 10th, 1982 and November 12th, 1982 in New York. So Los Angeles is where it had its premiere, and then it was released in November in New York City. The estimated budget of this movie was $220,000. Which is very low budget, obviously. You can tell. But the box office was about $3.6 million, which is pretty good for a low budget movie like that.
Good job, Slumber Party Massacre.
Yes, of course. We're looking at a 39% on Rotten Tomatoes for the tomato meter and a 46% of an audience score, which I think is a travesty personally, but whatever.
That is so insulting.
It really is. God, I can't. We're looking at a 5.6 out of 10 on IMDb and a Letterboxd score of 3.1 out of 5. For our cast of characters, we have Michelle Michaels, which it's funny. It was with 2 L's where I found it. And then she also just uses 1 L sometimes, which I love, as Trish Devereaux. We have Robin Still as Valerie Bates, Michael Villela as Russ Thorne, Deborah DeLisio as Kim Clark, Andrea Honore, something as Jackie Cassidy, Gina Marie as Diane, Jennifer Byers as Courtney Bates, who's the little sister Valerie, Joseph Allen Johnson as Neil, David Milburn as Jeff, who are like the boys at the slumber party. We then have James Reed Boyce as John Radin Minor. I guess he's just some guy who's like there. Our good old Coach Jana, played by Pamela Roylance, love her. Brink Stevens in one of her first things ever as Linda. We got Rig Kennedy as Mr. Content, the next door neighbor. We got Jean Vargas as Mary, who's the telephone repairwoman at the beginning. And then we have Mr. and Mrs. Devereux, played by Howard Perkinson and Anna Patton. Do you know Brink Stevens? Like, do you know her work?
Oh, I love Brink Stevens.
I love her too.
I think she was actually cast. They offered her the role of Trish, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Or Val. I can't remember. She was offered a larger role, but she was also cast in something else at the same time, and she couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So she was like, "Oh, I'll just do the smaller role." But
right.
Yeah. Yes. I am big into. I love Brink Stevens.
Yeah, she's probably
all the Scream Queens.
Yeah, she's probably the most known of this cast. We will also just mention that Robin Still was unfortunately she was Valerie, but she has since passed away many years ago after her career kind of stalled. Fun fact about Brink Stevens and Robin, though, they're in one of my favorite stupid movies ever, and I don't know if you know this, Pickens, Sorority Babes in the Slimeball Bowl-orama.
Oh, baby. I love Sorority with Linnea Quigley.
Oh, God.
Yeah, no, I love. And no. It's, oh gosh, who's the other one? Because it's Linnea Quigley, Brink Stevens, and she was in Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers with Linnea Quigley.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, and it's driving me up a wall.
Hold on. We got the Google up in here. Hold on. Wait a minute. We're going to figure this out.
True,
wait a minute. Hold on. I got you, Blue. Don't worry. Hold on. We're going to get this together.
That's one where
this is super important for this podcast. Together. I'm just saying. It really is. We have Linnea Quigley, Robin Still, and then Brink Stevens, and Michelle Bauer, who's who you're talking about.
Michelle Bauer. That's because because Michelle will. Yeah, there's too many Michelles.
There's a lot of Michelles, but yeah, no, it's true. But like
Michelle Bauer, yes,
very important. And then Buck Flowers in that movie as well. He plays the janitor. Go watch Sorority Babes and the Slyball Bowl-orama. I'm gonna cover that at some point because that movie's so stupid.
Oh, okay. I'm calling dibs on when we ever do that.
Listen, Miss Pickens over here, because we're already getting on really well anyway. He'll be back. Like, I think we have just an innate interest in these trashy movies. Also, David Ducato is like gay as fuck, and we're gonna get into him whenever we talk about that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Ooh yeah. We're going to get into it. But anyway, some critical response quotes about this movie. So we have Tim Brayton from Agony and Ecstasy saying, the strain between content and tone leaves it feeling like no other slasher film of that period. And while it also leaves out more frustrating and ineffective, it stands out. So that's like a backhanded compliment. We also have Mike McGrannon from The Aisle Seat, who says, Slumber Party Massacre is not a great film. The plot is thin and the performance is occasionally a little awkward, but there's no doubt that it maintains its shock value. I don't agree with that, but whatever. It's fine.
What? Okay, no.
No, it's a great film, and y'all just didn't get it.
It's really good.
It's really good.
Yeah, seriously. Y'all did not see the same movie we saw.
We really didn't, apparently. But anyway, we're going to get into a little bit of just like the production history of this movie, and then we'll move into like a plot summary. This movie's pretty simple on its surface, but we're going to get into it. Author and feminist activist Rita Mae Brown, specifically, who's a lesbian, she wrote the original screenplay. It was called Sleepless Nights, all right, as a parody of the slasher like genre, because you got to remember, at this time, slashers really were coming into their own after a while. So,
oh yeah, there was like one after the other, just coming out, mama.
Yeah. And so it wasn't in the same vein as like, you know, a spoof movie like Student Bodies, which is also fabulous.
Oh, yes.
Yes. But producers repurposed this script to make a more serious slasher film against her wishes. So Rita Mae Brown did not want this to be a straightforward horror movie like that, but Roger Corman was like, no, boo, like if you want this made, we're going to do that. So we need you to change this a little bit to make it a little scarier. That is Rita Mae Brown. You know, she is an interesting figure. You know, like I said, she's a lesbian woman. She was also trying to advocate for women's rights back in the 70s and, you know, was kind of like shafted a little bit with this. If you want to find out more about this information, I will always plug The Last Drive-In with Joe Bob Briggs on Shudder if you ever find it, or AMC Plus. You can get it through there too. He did Slumber Party Massacre 2, where they talk a little bit about all Slumber Party Massacre 1, which we're going to get into the sequels and remake. Don't worry, we're going to get into it. But anyway, but like, yeah, so Rita Mae Brown, and then Amy Holden Jones, she was a film editor. She went to Wellesley College, apparently, and she was a film editor, though. And so she started working with Roger Corman because he liked her, and she wanted to direct. And I think it was Joe Bob who said, he said, once you had been editing like a couple of like Corman movies, that was when you could then ask Roger if you could direct, which was kind of funny. But anyway, so then she wanted to direct, and she asked Francis Dole for advice. Francis Dole was a partner to Roger Corman and had been with him for a long, long time, one of her story editors. Dole gave Jones a number of different scripts, been like, hey, take a look at these. And she found this script that was at one time called Don't Open the Door. So we go from Sleepless Nights to Don't Open the Door, which would then end up becoming The Slumber Party Massacre. And she decided
Which I do think is the best title.
I think it is. It really is straightforward. I like it. So in order to set herself apart, so she decided she was going to film the first 3 scenes of this film. So her husband, who is Michael Chapman, he's a cinematographer, he acquired equipment in film. He got some high actors from UCLA because, you know, this is a very LA, California movie. It all takes place in like Venice Beach or whatever.
I've been to the house.
You've been to the house. Oh, God.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, so they shot these scenes over a weekend for $1,000. And when he said, or when Amy Holden Jones told Roger Corman that, he was like, you'll go far in this business, kid. He agreed to finance the film after that. She actually had to turn down a role of editing E.T. for Steven Spielberg to take this job. It ended up working out because she was able to have that. She's also a really good editor. She had done like Piranha and a couple of other movies as well for Roger Corman. But yes, I think this has definitely had an impact. A little fun fact as well is the soundtrack of this movie, which is really, really fun. It was done on a Casio MT40 keyboard. So like all of it was just done for super duper cheap, obviously. Anything to add, Pickens?
They did. No, that was pretty much the whole spiel.
Yeah.
It's, you know, and Roger Corman has his problematicness to him, but to give him some credit, he was one of the very few producers in Hollywood that really did, like a lot of female directors did get a lot of their opportunity and start with Roger Corman.
They did.
So
yeah.
Yes, but of course there were requirements if you're making a Roger Corman film, and that is why this film is notorious for the amount of nudity that it has.
Yes, of course.
But I do think that she does a very, when we get into the plot things, I think the way she goes about presenting the nudity is a little tongue-in-cheek. It's like, you know, it's very much, here it is.
Yeah.
The camera just goes up and down. It's like, it's so like, here is the nudity.
Right.
Like I am legally required to put this in my film.
Right.
So here is I'm putting zero effort into it, which I kind of liked about it. It's like clever in a weird backwards way.
Yeah, no, totally. I completely agree, Pickens, because it really feels like she has to do this, but she's working within those confines to be a director. I think, if anything, you know, we'll also get into it with the plot as well, but like this also is seen sort of as a feminist story of these girls fighting against this killer, obviously. You know, I do think that's just what she had to do. And she also has defended herself as well, which I think is great because that's absolutely what you need to do. Obviously, like, you know, to say like, it's not like I was trying to make this horrible piece of trash or anything. And I don't think I did. I had to work within what I was given. So yeah, totally. And then this.
Yeah. And I really think, if it was a male director, it would not nearly be as nuanced or as like clever or interesting. I think there's something that she was able to give direction-wise, especially to these actresses who she has been on record saying she does not consider a majority of them very talented. No. But I think she's able to pull out. So I think she was able to pull out the humor and like the comedicness from them. And I think that a male director would not care that much, and it would have just been a boob and schlock fest of just
Exactly. So that's a little bit about, this movie, just the production history. We have to talk about a little bit of just the legacy of the film, in a way, if you want to call it that. This spawned 2 sequels, Slumber Party Massacre 2, which I just watched today again, and then also Slumber Party Massacre 3, which I have not seen because
don't watch it.
Doesn't stream. It doesn't stream anywhere that I know of, so I'm not getting it.
There's a reason.
It also spawned the Sorority House Massacre, which is on Shudder at the moment. You can watch it if you want to. It's really boring.
But there is a charm to it.
Sure.
There's a charm to it. I'll say that. I will agree. It is a little slow. It's a little boring, but if you want to have something on in the background, it's not a bad choice.
I guess, right, exactly. So there's that. Slumber Party Massacre 2 is pretty much Valerie from this movie. No, sorry, Valerie is not in this movie. No. She kind of is, but it's Courtney.
Courtney, the sister, one of the surviving sisters.
And she has a band now.
Played by a country music star.
Yup.
Now, yeah. I love Slumber Party Massacre 2. So sometimes it's a toss up every time. Sometimes I like Slumber Party Massacre 2 more. Sometimes I like the first one more. Mm-hmm. It's just, I love Slumber Party Massacre 2. It's so good.
It's really good. It makes no sense at all, really at all. Pretty much a rundown of the movie is that Courtney has these friends. She's in a band now. These friends of hers. Her sister has been institutionalized. And spoiler alert, she dies in the movie, I think. Anyway, there's this rockabilly murderer who's the driller killer who has a drill in this guitar he carries around. And he literally is the son of empire, multi-million-dollar empire for Detroit, which is really interesting. That owns Little Caesars. They're the people
he kills people via rock musical montages.
He really does, and he also speaks.
It's camp.
Yeah, he also speaks in lyrics, which is really fun. He says one was
Come on, baby.
Yes,
I can't get no satisfaction.
God.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Part rock musical, part slasher movie, part Nightmare on Elm Street ripoff, part what the fuck am I watching?
Yes, exactly.
It's incredible.
Exactly. I was just watching it today, and literally, I was like, "What am I watching?" It's crazy. And then it also ends really weird too. It's crazy. So we talk about that, and then the third one's forgettable. Don't worry about it. Okay, so Pickens says...
It's really not good, y'all.
Yeah, so Pickens says he loves Slumber Party Massacre 2, which I appreciate. I'm going to talk about this remake from 2021, because... I think me and Pickens are on the same page with it. It is such a good movie. And I'm going to tell you right now, y'all. Okay, wait a minute. I'm going to tell you this right now. So I watched it on Sci-Fi, on the app or whatever, and it does censor the little bit of nudity we get in it, okay? Which is unfortunate.
Rent it on Amazon.
So if you rent it on Amazon, it'll be uncut, which is great. But if you get a VPN as well, you can go on Shudder in the UK and you can watch it there, and it's uncut. Love it.
There you go.
Because, seriously, it's great. But no, this movie is really good. It does everything. Do you know the director's name? Do you know how to pronounce it?
Oh, no, I don't. But it stays in the style of all the Slumber Party Massacres before.
Yes, it does.
It is written and directed by women, which I just love. This is for the Sci-Fi Network of all the we've had the Halloween, legacy sequel reboots, which has been a mixed bag for most horror fans. We've had very disappointing remakes from Platinum. These major Hollywood studios have been doing these remakes and reboots and mixed results. For the Sci-Fi Network to have, in my opinion, one of the greatest remakes.
It's so good.
It's a love letter. It's a love letter to the original.
Yes.
Films. There's some little nods and throwbacks to them without being too annoyingly look at what we're making a reference to. They don't do that. It's just there. If you know kind of thing. But it's also its own original story. It is. And it has an interesting twist to it. It does the reverse of the male gaze with hunky, sexy himbo men, which is just
I love it.
It is, y'all. It is so good.
God.
I would definitely recommend watching 1 and 2 first, and then watching the remake so you can catch all the little nods they give to the original.
Right.
and then just have fun. This is it's so good. Please watch
I will.
it.
Yeah. Please, if you take nothing else from this podcast, everybody, and anybody who's listening, if you haven't already watched it, please do. Sci-Fi really did that, honestly, because and
it was filmed in like South Africa.
It was. I told you that. I think it was.
Yeah.
We've been messaging, and I was like, bitch, this was done in South Africa. That's kind of a serve. Anyway,
honestly,
it's so all of these people are literally South African, which I think is hilarious. And I'm just like, they're all putting on their American accents, which is great. But they're all very pretty, which I'll give them that too.
Practical makeup effects, which are so good.
It really is.
Like, oh my God. Just go watch it.
We're just like jerking its dick at this point, which I'm totally fine with, because seriously, like, it's so good. And for Sci-Fi, who's known for having really bad movies, like Asylum level bad movies, like, honestly, like, it's just so, it's so good. It's such a serve. It does everything Pickens was already just talking about. I love the fact that it has like you were saying, the male gaze with the original film. We have that. It's kind of like the female gaze. It's objectifying men in a way that I'm just like, this is great. Like, listen, horror, I will say right now, horror is known for objectifying women, using women's bodies and sexuality for all of this. You could talk about The Final Girl. You could talk about just like, why is there so much nudity in like 80s horror and shit? We can get it all into it. The thing is that when you turn it on its head and it's just these guys having a weird pillow fight with like their rippling muscles and shit, and you have a guy taking a shower where you just see his butt, it's just so refreshing because it's funny.
It really is.
And the Craft Legacy is something I've seen, and I was perturbed and disturbed. But y'all, the Christmas holiday is going to be coming up soon, and I may or may not be doing some holiday horror at some point. Okay, on my docket, I'm gonna maybe watch Black Christmas 2019. I know how bad it is. I'm aware. I know. I just want to see how bad it is. Okay.
Have you not seen it?
I have not seen it because it doesn't stream anywhere that I know of, but it's on Netflix in Canada. So I'm going to use it that way. It's really bad. Apparently it's not very good. I feel like it's similar to the Craft Legacy a little bit, which I did watch and was a hot mess. Listen, I'm going to do that. But like the Slumber Party Massacre does exactly what I think those movies wanted to do, but does it 10 times better. Period.
I either want to watch the Black Christmas remake with you just to see your reaction, or I would love for you to live tweet your reaction to me so I could just I'm probably gonna some of the lines.
I'm gonna probably do that with Pickens. I'm gonna find a time to watch it either on the weekend or something. And even if you don't respond to me, that's fine, because like literally like right away, because I'm just gonna be like, Pickens, what the fuck am I watching? What am I doing? So don't worry, I'll message you on Instagram or something while I'm watching it and just be like, what the fuck is this? Why are we doing this?
Please do.
Like, I don't understand this.
Especially because you like the 2006
remake. I do.
You're a fan of it.
We have talked about this. We have talked about this because Pickens is going to be on the channel. You know, he's going to be on the pod again, probably. No, I do like the 2006 version. It's great. It's really stupid. Mm-hmm. But 2019's Black Christmas is stupid on a whole different level, and it's more cringy, and I'm just very mad at Zoe Lister-Jones for doing that to The Craft. I really don't understand that. And whoever did that with Black Christmas, I'm gonna let myself watch it and just be like, why are we doing this? But anyway, without further ado though, so we were able to talk about the Slumber Party Massacre, but we're gonna get into a plot summary of this film. So we start off this movie real basic, really, just right away. It's the Slumber Party Massacre.
Yeah.
And so we
get this awesome little funeral sounding music.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we do.
And then you see a paper boy come by, and it just sets up the plot. Hey, somebody's been just escaped from an insane asylum.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Cool.
Great. And we see that Russ Thorne apparently escaped. One of my favorite is, so Michelle Michaels is in bed, and we see her, in her little nightgown, and we hear a scream, and it's coming from the radio, and it's some DJ on there, like somebody has called in and they won something. Be like, you've won.
What did I win?
What did you win?
What if I won? $100?
Yeah, right.
$20? You've won your own very KJEB t-shirt.
I just love that. It's so funny to me and then she like turns it or whatever. It's so hilarious, honestly.
It is,
because that is that little bit where you're like, oh, this is supposed to be funny. Like, this is supposed to be, we know what we're getting into. We then just see her change into like her shirt or whatever she has, and just full boobs for the first 2 minutes. You know what I mean? Which I can.
And she is totally freshly 18 years old, and I am being super sarcastic with that.
Yep. She is 45 years old. She is, girl.
Okay, she's not 45, but she is definitely mid to late 20s, I think. It is like, those...
No, girl. She is collecting SSI checks, honey. I just... We're supposed to believe she's 18. Okay, got it. All right. Anyway, so we got Trish Devereaux, played by Michelle Michaels. She decides she throws a slumber party while her parents are away. But you got that neighbor, Mr. Content, who I don't understand.
Mr. Content.
I don't understand why he can't be called Content, but like, whatever. I don't get it.
He is by far, with a movie with a drill killing serial killer on the loose and a very perverted, horny preteen.
Right.
He is by far the strangest character in the entire movie.
He really is. Because I don't know why he's there.
Do you think she's gay?
Do you think that
well, because Mr. Content is gay?
Do I think he's gay? I get it a little bit. Is that what you think?
I think so. I think Mr. Content is a little gay. Yeah. And I think Trish's dad might also be, because Mama is very enthusiastic for the 2 seconds he's on screen. Just like
Right. No, I can see that. Yeah, no, I can get a little gay vibe off of Mr. Content. You know, he looked alright. But anyway, so then we're at school, wherever the fuck she goes to school at. We see these boys. I don't even remember their names. What was it? It was Jeff and Neil.
Neil, yes.
Yeah, I think it was them. And they're looking at this lady who is a telephone repair woman who is stacked in the back.
That's the other feminist icon of the movie. There's a telephone repair woman and a peephole installer in the film.
Yes, there is.
Typical masculine roles that are all played by women. Which
I think is so fun, right? So we got the telephone repair woman, love her, and she's stacked in the back because she got a nice butt. And he's trying to one of the boys are trying to hit on her a little bit, be like, you know what they say about young guys or something. And she's just rebuffs them. And I'm like, good for you, girl, you better. But then as they walk away, Russ Meyer, wow, wrong podcast, but Russ Thorne has been in the repair woman's van this whole time and just takes her and kills her with his drill.
Yep, and while she's banging on the windows, no one can hear her.
Right, she got
They're completely oblivious.
She got randied from Scream 2. Sorry, spoilers. But yeah, no, she totally did. It happened. And so he then steals her van. So we then see that because we cut away from it and we go to this very choreographed basketball game between all these girls.
Because they're on the basketball team, which I also, again, another thing. The women in the movie are jocks.
Right.
They're doing the thing. And it's so different. It's something you don't see. A woman's basketball team, you don't see that in the movie. And I love that.
Yeah, you don't really a whole lot. And so, so you see this whole choreographed thing going on, and you get the intro to Coach Jana, who I love so much. I love her so much.
Coach Jana she's a quesadilla making, cat owning, sports knowledge high queen, and I love her.
I do. I mean, I don't know much about sports, but everything else, I'm just I feel seen.
I hate sports, but I respect her knowledge.
I do. Yeah.
Because say Homer.
Yeah, true. Very true. Trish meets up with her friends, Kim, Jackie, and Diane. They also have Linda, who's kind of part of their group a little bit, because they're talking to her a little bit.
Yeah, they're all showering.
So we get into this whole thing where they're done their little basketball game, right? And they go to the showers, and we have this gratuitous nudity. But as Pickens was saying kind of beforehand, this was really Amy Holden Jones being like, you know what? I need to put this nudity in my movie, but it's all going to make sense because we're just going to do it right here, right now, I guess. There you go.
Yeah, we're showering. Here we go. We're doing the thing.
Yeah, and it works because really there's no other nudity in the movie that I remember. So I'm just really happy with that.
Yeah, she gets it out of the way in the beginning, and then it's just all right. We're good.
Yeah, but then Robin still, Valerie, she wants to invite the new girl because I guess she's new to the party, but she declines the offer though. And then they shit talk her a little bit too.
Well, they were shit talking here before because so Valerie is the new girl.
Yeah.
She is a very good basketball player.
She is.
And Diane is not happy about that. And Diane is being a snob.
Yeah.
Diane, you're a snob.
Yeah, she was being a little bit of a snob, but then of course Valerie hears them and she's just like, no, girl, I gotta go. And she's like, she heard, so we were just being bitches. But the whole thing too is that it just so happens that Valerie and Trish, I think it is, they're literally like neighbors. So it's like, anyway.
Yeah, so it's even more. Well, to be fair, Trish is the one trying to invite her. She is trying to be nice, and it's just Diane doesn't like her because she drinks too much milk. Do you ever notice how perfect her eyeliner is?
Wow, yeah, I'm just like, what is this? Anyway, so then they go walking out. They go past this dumpster where the telephone repairwoman's body is. And that's where you then see Russ Thorne in her van. And so you assume that he's now stealing her van pretty much. But then you have good old Linda Brink Stevens. She has to go back into the school to retrieve a book. She gets locked inside, unfortunately. And then she is trying to get out of like a hallway or whatever. And she is attacked by the driller killer with his drill. So she gets this wound in her arm. And then you see them running, through the locker room and all that. She then is able to hide in like an office or something within the gym. He's not finding her.
And honestly, kind scary. Honestly, like an intense part.
It is
actually a genuinely creepy part of the movie.
Yeah. The telephone repairwoman one was kind of weird, honestly, but like this was actually tense and scary. But then she gets found out.
Yeah, his blood is seeping. It's coming through the door. That jazz, and then like bada boom, bada bing, like ah.
Yeah, no, and then so she gets killed by Russ, which is unfortunate. So then we see they're all walking back home, and so then the girls are going back to their respective homes, and then they all come over to pretty much Trisha's house because she invited them all to this party. So as the party begins that night, so again, her parents are all gone. They start, smoking some marijuana. Maui Wowie is what they have.
Some Maui Wowie.
Which is great.
Yes.
But then, of course, Mr. Content's there, and he's just like, oh, don't worry, I won't tell, because he's checking in on them. And they're starting to drink a little bit as well. So you have Trisha's house, like, right over, wherever she's at. And then it just so happens, like I said, Valerie is her neighbor, and Valerie has her little sister, Courtney, who's across the street. So then you have the two boys, Jeff and Neil, they arrive, and they're spying on the girls, as they are, because they're just like, I wonder, is this what girls do at slumber parties or whatever? And what I love about these two male characters is that they are literally, like, background wallpaper in this movie pretty much, like generally.
Yeah, they have almost they're like what women would be in other horror films, the more background two-dimensional characters, and they're kind of props in this whole thing. It's really the women that are running the show, which is super, super awesome.
Yeah, no, totally. Like Jeff and Neil, like they literally don't matter too much to the story, honestly. But they arrive because, they were going to come over and they spy while they're changing and everything. So again, you have that little bit of like nudity, I guess. But again, she's trying not to, I think the director's trying not to have as much. It's not so gratuitous. Yeah. In the middle of this, though, because we do see Mr. Content in this movie, Russ then kills him outside with his power drill.
After we find out that Mr. Content is on a slug hunt.
Yeah, he does have a thing with slugs for some reason. I don't understand that. I don't quite get that.
Yeah. They eat his garden or something. Just basically, we're introduced to it because Diane comes outside to get some logs. Yeah. And literally... you see a little fake out shot of a sledgehammer, or not a sledgehammer, a butcher knife cleaver thing. Just go right behind her, smash, and nonchalant, she goes, "Oh, hi, Mr. Content. Yeah. Hi, I'm doing slug hunting." And it's like, okay. And so he is our second victim of the film.
He technically is. He's actually our third because we forget the telephone lady.
Oh, right, Linda. Yes, Linda and Tara. Yes, Linda, telephone lady. So yeah, he is our third victim.
So you have that. So Then you see, so Diane is asking Trish permission to go with her boyfriend because before that, you see them in like the garage in a car, I think, just making out and doing all that. But she's just like, but I came here with my girls, like, you know, all that. And he's like, but I want you, babe. Like,
she is the one. She's that one girl that all you know. We all had that one friend. Once they get a boyfriend, oh my gosh, you know, I got to do everything with him. He's got to come with me. I gotta leave, you know, gotta leave my friends. And it's just, she wants a beer, I think. You don't have to ask my permission,
exactly.
It doesn't serve her any right because as soon as she comes back to the garage to go out with her boyfriend, she finds out his head's been cut off.
Which happened real quick.
She gets killed too.
Yeah, which happened so quick.
Very quick.
I'm just like, damn.
And also, I don't know if can a drill decapitate you that cleanly? I
have no idea. But you know what? I'm not a physics professor or anything, so who goddamn knows? But anyways, that all happens, and then you get the infamous shot of like this drill right in front of Diane. So if you didn't already guess, the drill is a metaphor for a dick, pretty much. So there's that.
Yep, fear of getting laid for the first time. What's this man with this giant drill gonna do?
Exactly. The girls really know what's important, and they order pizza because, you know, very, very important. And while they're on the phone with
as long as there's no anchovies on it. No anchovies.
Can't have no anchovies at all. But, you know, you have that, and then while they're on the phone with their coach, because two of the girls get into this debate of who was, because they're on the basketball team, but they really also like baseball too. So like for some reason they're talking about like, I want to know who the innings were last night, and they can't seem to remember all of them. So they keep saying like Homer say,
where all the runs came from. Yes. Say homered. And then they were just blah blah blah. I'm like, oh my god, you know who would know? Coach Jana.
Yeah, of course, because
so they call her, and Coach Jana's just trying to have a night. You know, she gets home. She is making a quesadilla. She is just trying to have a relaxing night, and she gets these drunk teenage girls calling her, being like, "Tell us where the runs came from last night's ball game." Hello.
I don't understand it, but anyway. So, also, do you get a little bit of like Les vibes from Coach Jana at all?
Oh, big time. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. That was super. I
really hope so.
But
yeah, so then you have we think Coach Jana is a huge Les, which we love. We then have I don't think there's any other deaths right away, but we're gonna get to that. So like then the pizza's finally there, which is awesome and wonderful.
Well, no. The pizza is when the next death comes because it's the pizza guy.
Yes.
We go and check in to Valerie and Courtney. Courtney
you're right.
Courtney has Valerie's playgirl, but she already ripped out the centerfold. There's some cute sister banter. And then as the famous Jim Jones once said, shut up and drink your Kool-Aid.
I also love the line too. So her playgirl the cover model is Sylvester Stallone, I'm pretty sure.
Oh yes, it
was. And then also I love that, okay, so like Valerie is downstairs and like Courtney's upstairs, you know, looking at this playgirl or whatever. And like Valerie says something to her. She's like, oh, you know, I'm just doing my biology homework. And I think that's so funny.
And trying to look at it's great. But then the pizza does arrive, and that's while they're on the phone with Coach Jana.
You're right.
And the pizza boy collapses with his eyes gouged out. There's panic ensues.
Yeah.
And then he cuts the phone line.
He does.
Then chaos ensues, and it just becomes like this whole survival basically. They like have to try to go get help. Every time they try to go get help, Russ Thorne is a step ahead of them and stops them. But basically ends out being like, you know, they're all starting to get killed one by one until we're finally really left with just Trish, Valerie, and Courtney.
Yes.
And they all three kind of bond in this like female sisterhood and just annihilate him after he kills Coach Jenna, which is the saddest scene.
Yes,
she did not deserve.
I do agree.
She did not deserve that death.
Yeah, so kind of like Pickens was saying, so we have the like pizza guy dying, and it's funny because like he's at the door and all that, and then it's like, how much? Because they're trying to figure out how much to give him, be like 6, and it's like the killer, obviously, which I thought was funny.
Yeah, the number of 6 was the numbers of victims. Yes, which I love. 6 so far. Yes, but it really is like,
No, so
So
the teens, arm
incredible.
themselves with knives. So Jeff and Neil are running away, but they get killed, unfortunately. I think one of them gets disemboweled and the other one is just like killed outside of like the little shed or whatever.
Yeah, like stabbed or
Uh-huh.
stuff. Yeah.
Then Russ gains entry to the house and murders Jackie. Jackie kind of walked into it though because he was like outside and like so he was knocking on the door or something. And then she goes and like opens the door and she gets her throat slashed. So she kind of walked into that one. Trish and Kim, they barricade themselves up in Trish's bedroom and they're just like, kind of talking or whatever. But then Russ enters through a window. He kills Kim as Trish then flees out. And then like you were saying, you have all the while during this time too. So you are left with Trish and then you are also Valerie and Courtney like have this whole thing where like they're just like outside their house for some reason, like walking around being like, I wonder what this is.
Well, they're investigating because they've been hearing noises. They did an investigation. Courtney has that really awesome scene where she opens up the refrigerator because she wants to get a beer.
Yes.
And Valerie's like, no, you can't. And you see Kim's body hanging out. And that's when they discover, oh shit, everything's happening.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh yeah, very fun, intense
and
scenes of all of it.
Pickens was saying, so Coach Jana comes over because you also see like her driving over because she was kind of weirded out by like the screaming she heard, so she was like, what the hell is this, a prank? So Coach Jana heads over there and Russ has like killed these people and he's like laying on the ground under a blanket or something, and then when Coach Jana comes in, she's like, girls, it's me, Coach Jana, all that. But then unfortunately she is confronted by Russ, who disembowels her, which is so very sad. And then like Pickens was kind of already saying, Valerie then chases Russ with a machete. And so now they're outside near the pool, right? And so then so then they're outside and so she ends up cutting off his hand while then she slices his stomach open and then he falls back into the pool and sinks beneath the water.
And cuts the drill, which is a symbol of like basically cutting his dick off.
Pretty much, yeah.
And then they think they'll survive, but he does that one final slasher movie thing, jumps out and he lands on the machete. You hear sirens, fade to black, into film.
Exactly.
So iconically good. So good.
It really is. And so, like you were saying, like Valerie and Trish, they're breaking down in tears. Courtney's looking on in shock, which then brings us to Slumber Party Massacre 2, which is a whole other movie. Yeah.
Exactly. Which we will have to do at some point.
We'll do it at some point, as source. But yeah, y'all, that's the end of Slumber Party Massacre. So I will just say, wrapping this up, all that. I think this movie is so interesting. Again, it is an example of this kind of schlocky 80s, horror movie. But I do think that, it only has so much to say, I think. But like, I do think that it is kind of a feminist movie. These women are fighting against this man. And obviously there's some metaphor you could read into there, of course. I absolutely think it's a cool, great movie. And I also love the fact
it is incredible.
I also love the fact that it was, like we were saying earlier, it was written by a woman, directed by a woman, and Slumber Party Massacre, the series, I'm pretty sure, has the distinct pleasure,
all of them,
yes, of being written and directed by women because Roger Corman saw this as his quote unquote female franchise. So it's really cool that in the early 80s you had this happening where, then you have people like Catherine Bigelow and Karen Kusama and these different people who would obviously become icons in the horror genre, Mary Lambert, all that. But yeah, something like this, like, I think is just an excellent way of being like, you know what? Yeah, I was making this movie because I was offered it. This is super important for me to do, and I'm having to work within the confines of this industry.
Yeah, well, I mean, but it was really popular with women.
I agree.
Where the film really found success was on the video market. And they found a lot of teenage girls were renting this movie and really responding to it. And I think it is because, unlike other ones where there's so many times you're just watching them be the helpless victims. These girls were smart. They were cunning. They fought for their survival. It wasn't just, oh, we're stupid. Dumb. It was, no, we're we're jocks, we've got this. And it was just more of like sisterhood and empowerment. It's really one of my favorite slasher movies and would highly recommend
Absolutely. It. And so if you ever want to watch it, it's on Shudder. It's pretty much always been on there. I'm pretty sure you can find it on like Tubi. I'm pretty sure, that kind of thing. But yeah, please pull up to the Slumber Party Massacre. Watch that motherfucking remake. Okay. Yeah. Watch the second one. It's real campy, good fun. Yeah. Pickens.
Skip the third one.
Skip the third one though. But Pickens.
Yes.
I am so happy that you came on and talked about this wonderful, wonderful movie.
Jesse, thank you so much for having me. I had such a good time. I cannot wait to come back on. But yeah, it was, you're incredible.
Oh, thank you.
And yeah, this was just super awesome. Thank you so much.
Do you want to plug anything? You want to put your socials out there so people can stalk you?
Sure. Let's see. I mainly use Instagram. That's my number one thing I do. So you can follow me on Party Pickens. That is spelled Pickens. So Party Pickens on Instagram. I'm Pickens.Barringer on TikTok, I think. I'm starting to use TikTok. I'm still figuring out I like to watch TikTok. I have not really made a lot of TikTok.
Yeah.
So we're getting there. And you can find me every Friday night at a gay bar bathroom, ready to blow you.
Yeah, find him on find him on Instagram and TikTok. Find him on Grindr and Scruff and all that. It's all good. It's fine.
Yeah, I'm there too. Yeah, you can probably find me.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being on today's show, Pickens, and we'll definitely have you back.
Thank you, Jesse. Absolutely, I had such a great time.
Thank you so much.
All right,
bye. As always, if you'd like to get in touch with me, you can do so at cultcinemacircle@gmail.com. In case you want to give any movie recommendations, give feedback on the show, or if you just want to say hey, I'm open to all of it. You can also follow the Cult Cinema Circle podcast on Instagram and Twitter. Instagram handle is Cult Cinema Circle, and Twitter handle is Cult Cinecircle. On those platforms, I tend to announce the different episodes I'm going to be doing. I'll make little Instagram stories when we have an episode drop and just generally interact with anybody on there that wants to interact with me. You can also follow me on Letterboxd at Jesse, Jesse, Kremp, Kremp, all one word. On there, I log the movies that I watch and write little reviews about them and just general foolishness over there. Be sure to rate, comment, and subscribe to the Cult Cinema Circle podcast on your podcatcher of choice, whether that be Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Audible, or wherever you get your podcasts. I'm pretty much out there everywhere. Be sure to leave 5 stars and a 1 to 2 sentence review so we can grow the audience more and also just spread the love all around. Thank you so much to Pickens for being on the podcast today. And as always, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to the Cult Cinema Circle podcast. And remember, don't let your pizza go cold just because your pizza delivery guy got killed. Take care. Bye.